My stepfather blocked my education to protect his son, and my mother agreed. Now they want my money after my success. Hello, Reddit I plus here. Growing up, I always knew I didn't fit in with my stepdad, Brad, or his son, Mason. Brad married my mom, Cheryl, when I was 12, and from day one, it was clear Mason was the golden child. He got everything, new gadgets, extra tutoring, you name it, while I had to figure things out on my own. It was fine, though. I didn't need their attention. I had my own goals. By high school, I was killing it. Top of my class, awards, scholarships lined up. I worked my butt off to get into a prestigious high school on scholarship, and for a while I thought maybe I'd proved my worth to Brad and my mom. But, I was wrong. Senior year rolls around, and I'm all set to apply to my dream colleges. I had plans, partial scholarships, part-time jobs. It was doable. But Brad? He sat me down one night, looked me dead in the eye and said, "We can't afford college for you." Mind you, Mason, who couldn't even bother to pass his classes without a tutor, was fully prepped to go to some private college on their dime. I'll never forget the way my mom just sat there. She didn't say a word, didn't fight for me. She just let him shut me down like that. He even said something like, "It wouldn't be fair to Mason if we spent all this money on you." Like, what? How was that even a fair comparison? So, I did what I had to do. I went behind their backs. I applied to every scholarship under the sun. I worked late nights at this crappy diner, saved every penny, and when I finally got that acceptance letter to my dream school, I was ecstatic. I thought, maybe now they'll see how hard I've worked. But no, Brad was furious. He told me I was being selfish, that I was putting a strain on the family. And my mom? She backed him up saying, "Family sacrifices together, Riley." I remember laughing like, what sacrifices are Mason making? I left for college without so much as a good luck from either of them. And it wasn't easy. I struggled, worked multiple jobs, ate ramen for dinner most nights. But I made it. I graduated with honors, landed an amazing job, and finally started building the life I'd dreamed of. Then, out of nowhere, guess who shows up at my door? My mom. She's all smiles, talking about how proud she is of me, how I've always been so driven. And Brad? Oh, he had the audacity to bring up some investment opportunity for Mason. Turns out, Mason had burned through their savings, dropped out of school, and was now jobless. They wanted me to help him. Like, seriously? After all the crap they put me through, they had the nerve to ask me to bail Mason out? I told them, plain and simple, no, I wasn't going to fund their bad decisions or Mason's laziness. Brad got mad, started yelling about how I owed them for raising me, for letting me go to college. And my mom? She just stood there, looking like she was about to cry, but she didn't say a word in my defense. That was the last time I spoke to them. I blocked their numbers, moved to a new city, and haven't looked back. It's funny though. Sometimes I wonder if they even realize what they lost. Not just my money, but me. I don't regret cutting them off. I built my success on my own, and I'm proud of that. But you know what? It still stings sometimes, knowing my mom chose Brad and Mason over me. At the end of the day, though, I'm living proof that you don't need anyone's approval to make it. You just need grit, and maybe a little bit of spite. Cutting them off wasn't an easy decision. I mean, Cheryl is still my mom. No matter how angry I was, part of me hoped she'd reach out, apologize, or at least try to explain why she chose Brad and Mason over me. But that never happened. Instead, they just doubled down on their entitlement. About a year after I moved and cut contact, I got a call from an unknown number. Guess who? Mason. He actually had the nerve to say, "Hey Riley, I heard you're doing well now. Thought we could catch up. Maybe you can help me out." Help him out? The same Mason who spent years acting like I didn't exist unless he needed something? I don't even know what came over me, but I laughed. I wasn't even mad at that point. It was almost funny how predictable they all were. I told him, "Mason, I don't owe you anything, and frankly, after the way you treated me, I'm shocked you even had the guts to call." He tried to guilt me, of course. "But we're family. You've got more than enough now. Don't be selfish." Selfish. That word hit a nerve because that's what Brad and Cheryl used to call me every time I stood up for myself. But this time, I didn't let it bother me. After hanging up on Mason, I started thinking about how far I'd come. For so many years, I was angry. Angry at Brad for his favoritism, angry at Cheryl for her silence, and angry at Mason for always taking and never giving. But as I sat there in my new apartment, one I worked hard for, it finally hit me. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. The truth is, cutting them off wasn't just about protecting my success. It was about protecting my peace. I worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to let them drag me back into their mess. Over the years, I heard bits and pieces about what happened to them. Brad's business went under, partly because he'd put so much money into bailing Mason out of his bad decisions. Mason bounced from job to job, never sticking to anything. And Cheryl? She stayed with Brad even as their lives unraveled. One day, a mutual acquaintance told me that Cheryl had mentioned she regretted how things turned out with me, but she never reached out. Not once. And you know what? That's fine. I'm not looking for closure from her anymore. I gave myself that. Now, whenever someone asks me about my family, I just say, I don't have one. It sounds cold, I know, but it's the truth. My family wasn't the people who raised me. My family is the friends who cheered me on when I needed it, the mentors who believed in me, and the community I built for myself. And honestly, I'm proud of who I am. Brad, Cheryl, and Mason tried to hold me back, but instead, they became the fire that pushed me forward. They taught me exactly who I don't want to be. So yeah, I'm doing fine without them. Better than fine, actually. And if they ever decide to show up again with more empty apologies or entitled demands, well, I'll just remind them that success is something you earn, not something you take from someone else.